Jen from Fire Spiral Slings, and I'm going to introduce our latest warp. So this is the Chryso warp, this turquoisey tealy colour, and this is what's just come off our loom now. We've got 5 different releases as part of this collection. There was only supposed to be 4, but there was a little bit extra length at the end of the loom, so we wove an extra smaller release on there as well. I'll show you them all, but first I'll give you some comparisons for the colour. So this is the new one, and this little scrap here is a piece of the Glasto warp, and so I didn't realise how much darker this was. This is a dark petrol-y greeny teal, much darker compared to this new Chryso. And also quite a good comparison is our Cyano. So this is the Cyano gradient warp, and again you can see it's in the same area, colour area, but it's much more mature, much more deep and rich. And obviously the colour of the warp changes slightly with the weft that's woven against it, so it does sort of shift slightly. So now I will show you what we've woven. So yes, so there's 5 different releases, and we've also woven some scarf cloth. That's where we weave a design half width so that you get the full design on a scarf, which is nice. So yes, I'll start with this, which is the only synergy weave in the release, in the collection, and it is actually a Bifrost Twilight star map in terms of the wefts, but obviously it's woven onto this teal warp, and the teal shines through slightly, and so it changes the effect, and you still get this sort of dark navy and rainbow. It's a little bit more shimmery than the original Bifrost Twilight. It's going to have a new name, but what I'll do is I'll compare it with the original. And so this is the same wefts, the Bifrost Twilight style map, but this has a Twilight hidden warp, so it's blue on blue, and that concentrates, gives you this deep rich navy. The new weave, as you can see, has a much cooler tone to the blue, purely because this is a navy and Chryso combined. And so yeah, you do get more of that sort of shimmery effect of the hidden warp shining through that we get on our synergy weaves, where the 2 colours sort of create this iridescent effect. And also I think you get a little bit more of the rainbow colours shimmering through as well. It's quite a pretty effect there. So that's that one. That's 100% organic comb cotton, and yes, it's sort of a reweave of the Bifrost Twilight, but on the Chryso. Now next is a Muration, the new Muration design, and it uses the gold Italian 2-ply linen that we used as the sample piece, the sample weave, and we thought it was so beautiful that we would use it again. So this is going to be a 50% Italian 2-ply linen, so that's the same as the recent Sleepy Dust Nocturne and the Water Witch Muration. Now all of these samples have just come out of the box. They're not washed or anything, so they're still loom state, quite stiff, but this will become beautiful once it's been washed and ironed. Very drapey, but it's got a shimmery pale gold weft to it. There we are. So that's number 2. Now the third one is this Seafoam. I think this one shows how the weft colour changes the appearance of the warp, because I think this sort of concentrates it. I think it's beautiful. Now this is the same fibre composition as Moonrock, the Moonrock Twilight star map from years back, and it's our 10% cashmere, and we've also used this weft thread as part of the Night's Watch weft that was combined with the viscose, whereas this is just the cashmere cotton on its own, so it's soft even before it's been washed. It's soft and thin, drapey, and beautiful. Yeah, this is we don't buy cashmere direct first hand from suppliers. We only get it as part of remaindered stock. So this is the last of the cashcots that we had in our boxes at our workshop. But yeah, it's also the same as pale gold and verdigris and those really early ones. So that's that. So that's now. Oh, I'll do this one next. This one is a Dryad. It's a slightly different viscose linen. So Dryad was a quad blend. We've done it several different times, and it's a mixture of viscose linen and hemp for the weft. And so it's the same hemp that we use, that we love. It's a really good supply. And we've teamed a slightly different viscose linen, but it has the same weight, the same feel. So it is a Dryad in that respect. It's got this beautiful white weft that's shimmery and shiny and very slubby and textured, and up close it works so well on the moon to give that kind of beautiful texture into the pattern. So this is a thicker wrap, but they're very mouldable, very breathable. It's not an unwieldy wrap. So yeah, that will be Dryad Chryso Nocturne. So yeah, some of these, if we use the weft before, it already has a name. Some of them don't have a name yet and will need to be named. And the final one, which was our little addition to the end of the weave, because we had perhaps half as much as we would have on a normal release. We normally have perhaps 2 rolls of cloth. That makes maybe 30 wraps, depending on the length that people order, maybe 30-ish for a release. This is about half that. And so this is a Gossamer. We don't tend to do Gossamer because it's so beautiful, but it also divides people. It's one of those things that if you don't like spidery things, you know, it can be quite a niche design. But actually, I think, let me see if you can see this one. It's quite a subtle colour change. I think it's one of those that in the right colours, it doesn't even look spidery, does it? So as a short release, we thought, yeah, we'll do Gossamer because there's plenty of people who love that. And it does work really well. And so this, we used wefts that we had knocking about in the workshop. So it's alternated a turquoise viscose linen that we must have dyed for something else. It's obviously been used for something else, and I can't for the life of me remember what we've used it in previous wraps, but we have. And then it's also teamed with a jade linen, which looks quite ecru when it's against the 2 turquoises. And that's the linen that we've used for all sorts before. It was winter, and it was in Zora, and I think it was in the Circe wraps. So it's just a nice sort of linen that we have, that we're slowly using up. And so again, this is going to change a lot, I think, when it's been washed and ironed. I think it's the colours are going to change, but it's quite a subtle pattern and it's beautiful. It's very, very shiny, this weft. So that's yeah, a linen, viscose linen weft Gossamer. And the last little bit is this piece of cloth here. So this is our scarves, and we've used that same gold linen because when it's washed and ironed, it feels soft enough to be garments, really. So we've got scarves. This is obviously how it gets woven on the loom, and then we have to cut the 2 pieces. So each scarf is half wrap width. And so we've got a star map and a birch trees in that same pale gold linen. There we are. So we're going to be starting the process of getting photos, washing, naming, finding out the GSM, all that business. And then once we're ready, they'll go into the shop. And we'll do the same method that we normally do, where we get some wraps sewn up so that we've got something to buy straight away, but we'll also have them available to order, and we'll just sew to order. That usually takes a couple of weeks maximum. So yeah, so watch out, and we'll come up with a release date soon, and we'll be sharing more information with you. Thank you.